Deep in the heart of the rainforest, where sunlight struggles to touch the ground and the air is thick with mystery, there exists a legend, one whispered through generations, the legend of the gorilla spirit. The trees stand like ancient sentinels, their twisted roots gripping the earth like the fingers of something unseen. Vines coil around branches, stretching like veins through the dense canopy, and the air carries a strange stillness, an unspoken warning. Those who have walked this path before speak of a presence, not just the rustling of leaves or the distant call of a predator, but something else, something watching. They say it is not just an animal, not just a beast of the wild, it is something beyond, a guardian of the jungle, a presence that watches, waits, and punishes those who dare to trespass without respect. The few who have encountered it tell stories of glowing eyes piercing through the darkness, of an immense shadow moving through the trees faster than any living creature should. Some hear whispers in the wind, voices not of man or beast, but of the jungle itself, warning them to turn back before it's too late. Many have entered the jungle, few have returned, and those who do, they are never the same. But not everyone believes in legends, not everyone listens to warnings. Some seek adventure, others, the truth, and some, well, they seek what should never be found. One man, one journey, one terrifying encounter that will change everything. The gorilla spirit, a terrifying encounter in the wild. Some legends should remain untouched. The jungle is alive. Every step forward is met with the crunch of damp leaves beneath heavy boots, the thick scent of earth and moss filling the air. In the distance, the calls of unseen creatures echo through the trees, blending into an eerie symphony of the wild. Towering trunks stretch endlessly into the sky, their branches tangled in a web of vines that sway gently, though there is no wind. The deeper he moves, the more the world outside seems to disappear, swallowed by the endless green. He moves carefully, adjusting the straps of his backpack, the weight of his camera pressing against his chest. Each shot he takes captures something breathtaking, a rare bird perched on a twisted branch, a family of monkeys leaping effortlessly from tree to tree, the shimmer of golden sunlight breaking through the thick canopy. The jungle is beautiful, but there is something else lurking beneath its beauty, something unseen but felt. A presence, watching, waiting. The villagers had warned him before he left. Stories of the gorilla spirit had filled the night air around the flickering fire, their voices hushed as if speaking too loudly might summon it. They spoke of its immense size, its glowing eyes, its ability to vanish into the trees like a phantom. "Do not enter its land," the elder had said, his voice low and firm. "Those who do never return the same." But he had dismissed it, chalking it up to folklore, another tale meant to keep outsiders away from the untouched depths of the forest. He had heard countless myths before. None had ever proven true. This would be no different. But now, standing in the dense silence, he is no longer sure. The jungle, once filled with the chatter of birds and insects, has grown unsettlingly quiet. The air itself feels heavier, pressing down on him like an unseen force. He checks his camera, reviewing his latest shots. In one of them, he sees something strange, something he hadn't noticed before. A massive footprint, half hidden in the undergrowth, larger than any he has ever seen. His heart pounds as he glances up, scanning the trees. For the first time since stepping into the jungle, doubt creeps into his mind. Perhaps the stories were more than just myths. Perhaps he has wandered too far. The stillness is suffocating. He can hear his own breathing, slow and measured. But beneath it, there is something else. A presence. Unseen, yet undeniably there. The jungle, once vibrant with life, has fallen into an unnatural silence, as if the very trees are holding their breath. He tightens his grip on the camera, scanning his surroundings. Shadows stretch between the trees, shifting with the filtered light. But something feels wrong. Then he hears it. A low, guttural growl, deep, resonant, vibrating through the ground beneath his feet. His body stiffens. Every instinct screams at him to move, to run, but his feet remain rooted in place. Slowly, he turns toward the sound, heart hammering against his ribs. Between the tangled vines and towering trunks, something stirs. A figure, massive and hulking, moves through the shadows. It is not fully visible, but the sheer size of it is impossible to ignore. A pair of eyes, faint but unmistakable, glow in the dim light, locked onto him. His breath catches. He lifts the camera with trembling hands, zooming in, trying to focus. The viewfinder shakes, the image blurring as he struggles to steady himself. Then, movement. The massive form shifts, stepping forward just enough for the light to catch it. A gorilla. But not just any gorilla. This one is impossibly large, its fur dark as midnight, its presence almost spectral. And yet, it does not charge. It does not roar. It simply stands there, watching. A sudden chill prickles his skin. This is not normal. Gorillas are powerful, but they do not behave like this. There is something unnatural about the way it moves, the way it observes him. He swallows hard, slowly lowering the camera. The air is thick, pressing against his chest, making it difficult to breathe. Then, just as quickly as it appeared, the figure vanishes into the trees, swallowed by the jungle as if it had never been there at all. He stumbles backward, his mind racing. Had he really seen it? Or had the jungle played a trick on him? His pulse thunders in his ears. He checks his camera screen, scrolling through the last shots. And then, his stomach drops. In the final frame, just before it disappeared, the gorilla's eyes seemed to burn through the lens, glowing with something beyond comprehension, something ancient, something not meant to be seen. A branch snaps in the distance. He spins around, breath quickening, scanning the dense foliage. The jungle is alive again, but not in the way it was before. The rustling leaves, the shifting shadows, the low hum of something unseen. It all feels different now. Controlled. Purposeful. He isn't just being watched. He is being followed. His instincts scream at him to run, but his body refuses to move. He grips his camera tightly, his fingers slick with sweat. The trees around him seem to close in, the towering trunks stretching endlessly into the mist. Then, the growl comes again. This time, closer. Deeper. He can feel it in his chest, a sound that does not just exist in the air but vibrates through his very bones. He swallows hard. This isn't just an animal. This is something else. Then the jungle explodes into motion. A massive shadow lunges through the trees, faster than anything that size should be able to move. He barely has time to react before a dark figure emerges, towering, monstrous. The gorilla. But something is wrong. Its eyes burn like embers, and its body, though solid, seems to flicker at the edges, as if caught between two worlds. It is unlike any creature he has ever seen, something ancient, something beyond explanation. His breath comes in short gasps as he stumbles backward. The gorilla does not charge, does not attack. It simply stands there, blocking his path, its massive chest rising and falling with slow, deliberate breaths. He can feel the weight of its presence pressing down on him, pinning him in place. But deep down, he knows that some things are not meant to be understood by those who do not respect them. Some secrets belong to the jungle. He closes the laptop, leaning back with a deep breath. Outside, the city lights glow, artificial and distant, a world apart from the untamed wild he left behind. But no matter how far he is, no matter how much time passes, the jungle will always be with him, in his mind, in his dreams, in the quiet moments when the world feels too still. And somewhere beyond the reach of men, hidden beneath the thick canopy, the gorilla spirit still watches, Waiting, protecting, a legend, a guardian, a force that will never fade. He reaches for his camera, his fingers trembling as he lifts it. Instinct tells him to capture something, anything, that might prove what he saw was real. But when he looks through the viewfinder, all he sees is jungle, dense, empty, unchanged, as if nothing had happened at all. He lowers the camera, exhaling sharply. Did he imagine it? Was it just a trick of the mind, a creation of fear and exhaustion? No, he knows what he saw. He felt it. The energy, the power, the intelligence behind those glowing eyes. It was real. A sudden gust of wind moves through the trees, sending leaves cascading down like whispers from the canopy above. And then he notices it. A marking, carved deep into the bark of a towering tree just ahead. It wasn't there before. He steps closer, his pulse quickening. The symbol is ancient, tribal, its meaning lost to time, but something about it feels intentional, a warning, or a message. He reaches out, fingers tracing the rough grooves in the bark. A shiver runs down his spine. This was not made by a human, not by a knife or a tool. It was made by something else, something with strength beyond comprehension. The realization settles in his bones. The gorilla spirit did not just let him go, it left him with something, a sign, a reminder. The jungle hums around him, alive once more. He steps back, taking one final look at the marking before turning away. He doesn't run. He doesn't rush. He simply walks, his mind filled with more questions than answers. But one thing is certain. He is leaving this jungle different than when he arrived. Changed. Marked. As he moves toward the edge of the trees, the feeling of being watched lingers. Not threatening, not angry, just present. He doesn't look back. He doesn't have to. He knows the spirit is still there, hidden in the depths of the jungle, watching as he disappears into the world beyond. And though he is leaving this place behind, he knows one thing for sure. He will never truly escape it. Days have passed since he left the jungle, but the experience refuses to fade. The city around him hums with life, cars rushing by, voices filling the air, the constant buzz of technology, but none of it feels real, not after what he witnessed. The memory clings to him, a shadow trailing his every step. At night, he dreams of the jungle, of glowing eyes watching from the darkness, of a deep presence pressing against his soul. And when he wakes for a brief moment, he expects to find himself back there, lost beneath the towering trees. He goes through the footage, frame by frame, searching for proof, for something tangible to ground his experience in reality. The images show the jungle's beauty, the golden light filtering through the leaves, the creatures hidden in the undergrowth, but nothing of what truly matters. No massive figure lurking in the shadows, no burning eyes staring through the lens, no evidence of what he saw. But then, as he nears the last few frames, his breath catches. There, in the farthest corner of a single shot, barely visible between the trees, a shape, a silhouette, massive and unmistakable. It isn't clear, almost like the jungle itself is trying to conceal it, but it's there. His hands tremble as he zooms in. The figure is too large, too perfectly formed to be a trick of the light. And just beyond it, faint but undeniable, two glowing eyes stare back at him. His throat tightens. He wasn't imagining it. It was real. The gorilla spirit was real. The realization sends a chill down his spine. The villagers' warnings, the stories passed down through generations. They weren't just myths. He had stepped into something ancient, something beyond understanding, and somehow, he had walked away. He leans back, staring at the screen, the weight of the truth pressing against his chest. He could share this. He could show the world. But deep down he knows, some things are not meant to be exposed. Some mysteries are meant to stay hidden, untouched, protected. He exhales, closing the laptop, his heart still pounding. The world will go on, unaware of what lurks deep in the jungle, but he will never forget. He will always know the truth. And somewhere, in the heart of the rainforest, beneath the thick canopy and endless green, the gorilla spirit still watches, still waits, guarding its land and its secrets. The jungle never truly lets go of those who enter its depths. Even now, as he walks through the bustling city streets, he feels it, the weight of unseen eyes, the presence lingering just beyond reach. The gorilla spirit did not follow him, but it has left its mark. He is no longer just an outsider who stumbled into the unknown. He is a witness, a keeper of something ancient, something powerful. He doesn't talk about it, not in full. When friends ask about his expedition, he gives them the usual stories, how beautiful the rainforest was, how untouched it felt, how alive. But he leaves out the part that keeps him awake at night. He doesn't mention the glowing eyes in the dark, the impossible presence that stood before him, the unspoken warning etched into the trees. Because how could he? Who would believe him? And yet the question gnaws at him. Was he meant to see it? Was he chosen? Or was he merely lucky to leave unharmed? He replays the moment over and over in his mind, searching for meaning, for a reason why he was spared. The gorilla spirit did not attack, did not chase him away. It only watched, judged, decided. One night, unable to sleep, he pulls up the last image again. The faint silhouette, the burning gaze. He stares at it for a long time, fingers hovering over the keyboard. He could share it. He could release the footage, tell the world what he saw. But deep down, he knows that some things are not meant to be understood by those who do not respect them. Some secrets belong to the jungle. He closes the laptop, leaning back with a deep breath. Outside, the city lights glow, artificial and distant, a world apart from the untamed wild he left behind. But no matter how far he is, no matter how much time passes, the jungle will always be with him, in his mind, in his dreams, in the quiet moments when the world feels too still. And somewhere beyond the reach of men, hidden beneath the thick canopy, the gorilla spirit still watches, waiting, protecting, a legend, a guardian, a force that will never fade.